Hello and welcome to Hands-on Python course. We have set up our Anaconda Navigator and Jupyter Lab. We also started Jupyter Lab in this port and now it's up and running. It's time to see the Jupyter Lab, namely Jupyter Notebook Basics. So let me come to Notion and drag and drop this one into in progress Jupyter Notebook Basics. So let's go to our Jupyter environment. On the left, you see the folders. Folders are where we manage our files and folders. To create a new folder, we use this icon. To go up, we use this, and to refresh from disk, this is refresh from disk icon. So I will create a new folder for this subtopic, and I will rename it as for Jupyter Basics. So this is my folder, and I will double click and enter, go into the folder, and now I will create a new Jupyter notebook. As you see here, Python 3 notebook. This is launcher. If you don't see, you can click the plus icon here. It will open launcher for you. So I will create a new Jupyter notebook. I click on this and it opens a notebook, creates a notebook, and it's untitled currently. So let's rename it. I right click here and rename. And it's, let's say, again, Jupyter Basics. This is the Jupyter notebook file. It's IPyNB file and it's using Python 3. As you see here, you can change also the language we use, like Scala or any other language. And this is using Python kernel. I will talk about kernel in a while. So this is Python 3. And on the left, we see the folders. We see also kernels. Kernel means session. So we have currently one active session. It's Jupyter Basics. We renamed it as Jupyter Basics. Now, if I click and open a new Python here, Python notebook here, you will see in the kernels, you will see two different kernels. They are all active here. I can shut down any of them I want. I can close this and I can discard it. Yeah. Now on the left, I see the extensions, or I can manage any other settings for Jupyter Lab environment, and I see kernels and folders. This is the left panel. The top panel, the top menu bar is file, where you close the tabs, you open a new one, you save notebook, classic file operations. Under file, under edit, you cut cells, you copy past cells, delete cells. These are cells. I will talk in detail in a minute. These are cells. So in edit menu, you manage cells. In the view menu, it's about viewing the doc here, the coding editor area. You can collapse the cells, you can expand them, you can go into presentation mode. Let's view this in presentation mode. And on the run, you can run cells, you can run selected only cells, you can run all cells, you can restart the kernel and run all cells again. And under kernel, you can interrupt the kernel, you can restart the kernel. After you restarting, you can run all the cells, shut down the kernel, or you can change your kernel as I showed you before, this one. Okay, and under tabs, you can activate the tabs. These are the tabs that we use. We will use more than one tabs most of the time. And settings, classical environment settings, and help. So, and let's move on with the right hand side panel, which is the code editor. This is called the cell, and inside the cell we write our code. Our first code is print, a basic print statement. Let's write hello world. And if you're finished with your cell, if you click on this play icon, it is run. So it runs the cell and it prints out hello world. This one here, the number here means the running order in the kernel. This is the first cell we run in this kernel, and our kernel is here. Okay, and let's print another text here. This is plain text. If I write it like that, if I run this, it will give an error because this is a code cell. Inside Python code, you cannot write this. So we can change the cell type. There are 3 cell types: markdown cells, row cells. If I write row, and if I run this, it's just a row text cell. It doesn't do anything, just stays however you type it. The third cell type is markdown. I select this cell and choose markdown. Now I will write markdown. Markdown is the formatted strings, formatted text cells, like this is a markdown cell. Now if I run this, it writes as plain text, as you see. I can also write HTML here, like B for bold cell. Let me close this B tag. If you know HTML, it's okay. If you don't worry. Bold cell is here. As you see, it's still code cell. I should switch to markdown. Now I write it as bold. This one is bold. If you don't know HTML, don't worry. There are shortcuts. 2 asterisks, 2 stars are mean. 2 star mean making bold. This is bold also cell here. And if I run this, you see it's again bold. This is a shortcut. There are many shortcuts in Markdown. We will use most of them in our course. And I also use shortcuts. Shift Enter runs the cell. If you select the cell and click on Shift Enter, it will run the cell. Okay, another thing I want to show you here is to copy, paste, cut the cells. So let's say I want to copy this cell. If I select this and click on copy, then if I select here paste, it passed this cell. And they are different from each other, no relationship between each other. It just copies the cell content and create a new cell here. And this cell is, I don't want this cell, it's an extra cell, so I want to cut it. Just click on this scissors icon, so it will cut your cell. And you can change the cell type into code. This was Markdown. I changed it to code. Now I can type another statement here. 8 times 2. If I run this, it will print as 16 the result. So this is a code cell. These are all about cells. If I want to add a new cell below this, let's say I click this plus icon and it creates multiple cells for me. I can delete them. Also, I can select by shift, and by shift click I can delete multiple cells at once. This is the save button, so I saved my notebook. This is run. It runs the cell. This starts the kernel. When you do an operation and it takes long, you can interrupt the kernel. This one, restart the kernel. As you see, I click and it says, do you want to restart the kernel? I say yes, restart. After I restart the kernel, I can run the cells again. Also, I can come to kernel and shut down here if I want, or from here I can shut down the kernel also. That's about Jupyter Notebook basics. We will do lots of coding here. For the first half of the course, we will use Jupyter Lab, Jupyter Notebook. That's for initial introduction. That's enough. So let's go to Notion and put it completed, make it completed. Now we will go on with Python virtual environments.